a tournament that all three of us know very well. But Trump OG on the chessboard beat Box 2-0, and so maybe he'll be a guy that can help lead that upset for the Team Trump SC. So. The other matchup, Team Hutch versus Team Box, that actually just got underway. I actually just saw the Mighty Hutch's battle versus Box himself pop up in front of me, but we'll get to all those. I'm with you. I think I have a feeling that regardless of who may win between Team Nim and Team Trump SC in this next round, we might actually still see those two teams in the finals, given how they played. But anyway.
And I see a lot of people commenting on Trump SC's name. I read on his Wikipedia that he used Trump because he liked the word Trump. It seemed very powerful, but also because he was a fan of The Apprentice. So if you guys are watching, that's why he originally picked that name.
I don't even know what to say.
Same. Yeah, same.
Gonna move on.
Context, Hikaru and Danny. I'm sorry.
It's good. No, you're doing your job. You're doing great. But we're gonna move on to Mighty Hutch. Playing the Queen's Gambit. Hutch is a guy that of all the streamers in the field, I go way back with Hutch longer than any of the others, just because he was streaming chess, like I said, Hikaru, before it was cool, right? Before you and a lot of the streamers kind of started this huge chess movement here over the last few months. Hutch has been playing and genuinely trying to get better for a long time. I wasn't surprised to see him make it to the finals in the PogChamps.
Yeah, I would add one thing, which I thought was very telling, is that when Ludwig was playing, he did mention that he watched Hutch. I don't know if it was like 5 or 6 years ago, but he did watch Hutch playing chess on Twitch many years ago, and that was sort of his inspiration, I think, for getting into chess. Did Hutch just mouse slip? Because Hutch is way too classy of a guy to play pawn to c5. He must have mouse slipped, right?
I think so. The only thing I know about Sean, he likes Hutch. Sorry, his first name's actually Sean, but we'll go by Hutch. He likes closed positions, so maybe he's going out of his way to do something crazy. But the reason, Hikaru talking that's just not your favorite move. I mean, you're wasting a tempo. You're relieving your pressure on the center. This is really an ugly pawn move to make. But maybe I don't know what Hutch is thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, it looked like he was maybe going for.
Go ahead.
It looked like maybe he was going for some type of traps, a3, and trying to force Box to take the knight. Otherwise, he risks a b4. But of course, Box is too strong to fall for something like that. And the move c6 actually gives the bishop the retreating square on c7.
Well, now we see Queen c2. I mean, I don't know that this bishop is going to go all the way out of its way to come back here versus trade, but maybe you're right. Maybe that's what Box's idea is, and he really spies that. There is potential of a bishop on that square for sure. But this is it's becoming more normal now. It's just c5 is a move you almost look like as a coach you want them to take it back, because it's a tempo that could have been used on developing a knight, developing a bishop, all kinds of stuff, and now it almost feels like black is up a developing move.
Right.
Well, how much of an advantage do you think Box actually has from what we've seen them play before in terms of practical chances? Not, of course, if this was a classical game between, say, two masters.
I'll let Hikaru answer. I think it's close to equal, but Hikaru, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think black is probably much better, or was better, but I think it revolved around breaking the center immediately with some pawn push to e5. Now I think white is
his queen. Oh,
I think he saw one pin.
Having a tough day today.
I was gonna say, I think he saw one pin and forgot about his, and Albert unfortunately is So yeah, this is a good lesson for those. One of the things that makes chess so hard is it's not some games the whole way you win is always sole uber focus on your own goals and your own plans. Chess, you just can't only think about your plans and your pins on the knight here like Box does, because your opponent's plans need to come first, and now Hutch is just up a queen.
Yeah, very, very tough. And I mean, Hutch, I think Hutch would beat me if he was up a queen against me almost. I think he's just much too strong to let this advantage slip here. I'm not trying to give you your hourly flex, but I don't even know if I agree with that. I think you're pretty good at playing down material. But that would be a great event in of itself. Hikaru playing odds against the competitors in these PogChamps events. What would be?
I mean, when is the blindfolded simul happening?
Yeah,
that's in the books, right, Hikaru?
We got a lot come up. Yeah,
that's coming up down the road. Yes,
down the road. Okay, that's something to look forward to, chat.
Well, we've got this game going. Hutch is up a queen, and it could be a big win, sorely needed for his team, because we know that they They did come up on the short end in round one. If you're just tuning in, thanks for being here. This is Twitch Rivals, the Chess Showdown. And everyone you see is streaming on their own channel and playing directly on chess.com. So if you want to go follow the games yourself, you are encouraged to do so. Ludwig just started his game. We'll give a cue that maybe we'll want to head over there and let the team know. But for now, Hikaru, give us you're up a queen. And for those who want to make sure they convert on those advantages, give us the how does white convert on this 100% of the time, all the time?
Try to trade down pieces, like get rid of the knights and the bishops, and if you have the opportunity, get rid of the rooks. Now this position's very close, so it's a lot different since it's so early in the game. But a move like bishop to d3, for example, and force black to trade off some of the material, because the less pieces black has on the board, the harder it becomes to attack the white king. So you just want to trade down. You want to get rid of the knights, the bishops, and the rooks. That's what you want to do.
Okay. Simple stuff. Did you think, I mean, we didn't even shout out. Do you think that somehow, some way that BoxBox was given a shout to the Botez Gambit here, Alexandra?
You know, he may have been. The Botez Gambit is not one you want to play, though. Most people have learned that by now, and I am personally traumatized by the amount of Botez Gambits I've played in my life. So sad to see another victim fall again.
Another victim of the Botez Gambit. But Hikaru called it, and it is important to know those lessons. If you trade pieces when you're up a queen, should win most of your chess games. So, but as we said, other games are getting started here in round two, and we're going to head over to Lud Skywalker, Ludwig. He's taking on BoxBox Killer. One of my fun usernames there. But Ludwig is...
Oh, he's playing Skara. Oh, yeah. We haven't actually watched Skara play at all yet, have we?
Yeah. And Skara was training with BoxBox and Chiyu yesterday, so they actually play together. They're friends, and I think he's trying to poke BoxBox a bit with that title there.
Well, now Ludwig plays bishop f4.
Which is a very bad move objectively, but
he had a trick.
A great move.
Right.
It turns into a very good move. I think knight to d5 and pawn to a6 was probably really, really good for black. But he plays bishop d6, which is very logical too. Right. I think knight d5 and then push the pawn to attack the knight would have been extremely strong. But this is good as well.
Bishop d6 develops a piece, defends the threat that Ludwig was coming up with, and I think that BoxBox is hopeful to... Sorry, BoxBox Killer. Hopeful to get castled. It's important when you've got a BoxBox and a BoxBox Killer username. I mean, you gotta really clarify. So this is Skara playing the black pieces of the BoxBox Killer username.
Fair enough. But now Ludwig's knight on b5 looks a little bit awkward because it doesn't have any threats anymore. And at some point, a6 is going to be played, or even bishop d7 to put pressure on the knight. And now I wonder where that horsey is going to go, because b2 is going to be a weakness in the future. Maybe not right away. I guess there's rook b1. But maybe that's a bit too far advanced anyway for this position. I guess the lesson here is that Ludwig should maybe try not to develop the same piece twice in the opening.
Yeah, and now a third time, right? The piece has to back up, and I think you were right. I think b2 should have been taken, Alexandra, but BoxBox Killer chooses the principled move, get the king out of the center. I'm just going to focus on development. Seems good, right, Hikaru? I mean, he feels like he's a man of principles right now, focused on it.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is I think Skara is one of the few players who has played over-the-board chess. I believe his over-the-board rating was about 1,050 to 1,100 when he stopped playing as a child. He grew up in Texas, so I think he played the Texas State Championships, and that was one of his last tournaments. So he has played over the board, so he is very naturally talented, and he did play it quite a bit growing up. So it's not surprising to see him showing a good fundamental understanding.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Knight to c6, just getting developed. This is a position that if you took a snapshot, you'd be proud of any student. They got all their pieces in the game. The king is out of the center. Your rooks are connected. This is chess speak that you've done your job in the opening. You've gotten everybody out, so the rooks are talking to each other. Really like BoxBox Killer's position. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll see a castle soon from Ludwig, because if he's not too careful, the e-file is going to open up. The rooks might come to the e-file, and he might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yep.
Yeah, he could be in a lot of trouble here potentially in a couple of moves.
So he decides to take on e5, and knight takes e5. So now he can at least trade off some of the pieces, and then yeah, but bishop takes e5 looked a little bit scary then, because he wouldn't have been able to castle as quickly.
Right. Although now, I mean, I assume rook d8 will be played by by Skara. It's the obvious move. You don't play rook d8, you're just down a piece probably. Maybe there was something like queen a5, but this looks like a very logical move. And now I guess the question is here, will Ludwig try to get creative and play something like knight to d5 to try and save his bishop on d7? What he should do here is just castle and just play the game. Give back that extra bishop, and that's life. But I think he's going to try to somehow save it, because right now he's up by 3 points. He has 1 extra bishop. So I think he's going to try to find some way to save it.
And how hard do you think knight d5 is to see, Danny?
Well, I mean, I think Hikaru's mindset from describing Ludwig, if you're an aggressive player who's thinking like that, I mean, I think you would go for a move like this. It's not really a good move, right? Because black can play queen a5 check. Black can do a number of things. So I think that, you know, Ludwig is an aggressive player, and I think Hikaru has been right about guessing a lot of the way these guys think in terms of their personality and their approach. But you really should just get the king out of the center here and say, you know what, I know I'm up a bishop, but that bishop's fate is doomed. Note, everybody, it's pinned anyway. If you move the bishop, you have bigger problems. So, Hikaru, your ability to guess I swear, like, you're like predicting them. And by the way, Box Killer finds queen a5. I think Ludwig's going to be in trouble here.
I think he's going to be in trouble really fast. Pushing the pawn at b4, maybe it's still okay, but if he doesn't go b4, I think he's close to lost. And one thing I noticed with Skara is when I was playing against Box, the one and only Albert, that he was very good at finding these tactical ideas, being aggressive and attacking early in the game. So it's no surprise to me that he's got this great position. Yeah, now knight takes knight, and it's really starting to get ugly for white. Wow.
Oh boy.
Impressive. You're guessing it. Now you can see, everybody, that both c3 and d7 are hanging for white, and Ludwig can't really defend both. So that's why black is in such good shape here. Yeah.
And now maybe Ludwig's best practical chances are to just castle out of it, at least get his king to safety. But I guess he'll just be down because now there's queen takes c3 as well if Skara sees it.
But Hikaru, talk about that. So this is a good lesson where, like, you called it early, that you could see that Ludwig was going to get married to his bishop, right? In the sense that you get an extra piece, and now you fall in love with the idea of saving that piece versus the overall picture of the chess position. Because look what he's doing now. He's going out of his way to save the bishop even here, right? And so how do you avoid that, right? Where Ludwig clearly fell for that. It's a trap that a lot of players have to grow through. They get obsessed with one piece versus the big picture.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I can't stop laughing at what you said. You said marry the bishop, by the way, just to be clear.
I'm sorry.
But no, it's fine. But anyway, yeah, I think the thing is, when you're ahead, though, is one thing that makes chess very, very hard is that when you're ahead by material, like +3 or plus some mathematical number, it's very hard to just be like, okay, well, I can't keep it, I have to give it back, and just be practical. And I think until you're fairly advanced in the game, you're looking just purely at the mathematical count. Right. And so it's just one of those things where if you don't see that queen a5 check, you try to save it. And I thought knight d5 was a great move. Actually, it's about to get checkmated, by the way. Queen d3 is checkmate, right?
It was last move, and it is again. I was going to say, Alexander, do you think he'll find it the second time? Queen d3. Oh, he does.
Yeah, the second time he was baited into it a little bit because his queen is under attack. He sees that he wants to take the white queen on g4, so giving a check is natural, even if he didn't see the mate right away.
Yeah. Box Killer is a Skywalker killer. He's gone to the dark side, Box Killer, and there you go. There's your obligatory Star Wars reference that nobody saw coming. Okay, moving on. Let's go to QT Cinderella and Fuseli. We got Leslie and QT Cinderella. Ludwig was trying to be married to his bishop, but he also has a roommate that he's not married to, I hear. But apparently they are involved in sharing a home together.
He's not going to have good chances if he keeps locking her in the closet, though, Danny. Why do you think she's streaming from there?
Apparently she is. We had her on camera earlier. I don't know if we have her on camera again, but remind you, either way, you can go to twitch.tv/QT Cinderella. She is streaming her own view right now. And in a pretty good opening, Hikaru. This is, some good, just at least all the pieces are getting developed chess, right?
Yeah, pretty solid so far. I'm a little bit disappointed in Leslie because she didn't put the pawn on c6 and make the hat. And she kind of tried to do the double stunt with the two knights. But I think in general she's got a good position. QT Cinderella as well has not made any mistakes, developed pieces, castle the king out of the center. So I feel like both players have more or less followed their plan. And knight h4 is actually an excellent move here by QT Cinderella.
And the difference for those who've been watching from the beginning, you say, why are we applauding this and we criticize Charlie's knight to the edge move? The difference is this knight has a concrete threat, and it's something that Leslie can't really do anything about. Even if you back up the bishop, the knight can eliminate the piece. So, so this is a very different knight to the edge of the board because it has a concrete purpose. And I agree, great move by Cutie there. Alexander, what do you think? What's Leslie going to do now?
Well, I'm thinking that she's going to move before I even get to finish my thought. So A6 I kind of like. She's responding to the threat on F5 by making a threat of her own. So if she's going to lose the bishop pair, at least she could try to put Cutie's bishop on B3 or on a less active square, because there's nowhere she could place her light squared bishop and still keep the pair. So,
right. So basically, yeah, I mean, this is fairly advanced, but what you want to do is if you get the bishop pair, 2 bishops are generally better than like a bishop and a knight. Although that is a pretty advanced concept, but I would say for the most part, I don't think newer players to the game should pay that much attention to, simply because it's not something that really is going to have a relevance.
Yeah, the long-term effect.
Right.
So she
and
played...
I still want to see what's going to happen to Cutie once she's out of the opening. I think if we see her last game we watched of her, she ended up blundering a piece. But I think this is a more close position, so it'll be less likely that she falls for any of those traps.
Well, the one, if we're evaluating just pound for pound, the one advantage Fuseli has really is the bishop being undeveloped here for Cutie Cinderella. If we were just apples to apples, right? White does have a move or two behind to make up here for black, so we'll see how Cutie handles that. Does she? Uh-oh. Leslie gets ultra aggressive. What is she seeing here, you think? Trying to translate.
Well, I mean, this is one thing I feel is that, and this is what makes chess very hard in general, is it's very hard to be patient. I've seen a lot of these players, if the position gets close and there's no straight plan, they get very impatient and they want to just like go forward with their pieces and try to attack. And I think that's what this is. It's a combination of that and then, like as I said before, the symptom where 1 to 2 times every game, players they panic. They just panic and they make a move. Their mind just their mind shuts down for a move or two and they make an unfortunate mistake.
But we've seen this a little bit as a pattern with Fuseli, her sacrificing the pieces. Do you think that this is something that could be fixed if maybe she talks to a coach, or it's just like blunders, which you just need to do more tactics or get more experience?
I think it's just working with a coach, like just understand the piece values and just like trying to focus on the potential moves that exist.
I know. I was just highlighting. I was waiting for it to catch up. Yeah, the knight's hanging on H4. So Cutie, after getting up a piece, courtesy of Leslie's unnecessary sacrifice, everyone, now maybe Fuseli saw it coming, because what she was frustrated. Nope.
Okay.
Spoke too soon.
Well, now are we going to see Cutie take the bishop?
Right.
Ooh.
So yeah, I think what Hikaru was saying is a huge stepping stone that a coach can help. Or sometimes when people are just told you can have patience, that gives them patience. Hey, you don't have to look to be super aggressive here and sacrifice a piece. I thought she did it so she could move the knight. That maybe she had a concrete plan because the knight H4, but she doesn't seem to see that at this point. And lots of pieces hanging. Cutie could take the bishop. Leslie could take the knight. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Should be fun.
Well, this is what's exciting about players who are getting into the game. You get to see these kinds of crazy positions where no one can predict what's going on, right?
Yep. I don't know that we should even try to guess the next move, but we do have some other games we can jump over to. I want to get to the one that you guys highlighted as one of your favorites for this round, Zalay versus Trump. Trump SC, Trump OG. We're going to head over to that game. Zalay is the board one for Team Nim. For those of you that didn't get that memo, Team Nim making a great draft there. Zalay, the strongest player in the field, I think for sure, but Trump OG beat Box with both colors in the first round if you're just getting here. So if one guy can maybe give Zalay a run for his money, it might be right now. Yeah, Trump OG is not like
1200, that's for sure. Because this opening, this is like very thematic. This looks like an opening that I could play. Like this looks like one of our games, Danny, potentially.
It's a Rui Lopez.
Rui Lopez brings the knight to G3. I mean, this is very, very classical. So I think both players are are pretty familiar with what's going on. I think white is probably very slightly better here, but I do expect there to be a lot less blunders in this game.
And they're playing a very closed position here, and I think that's one style of position that's a lot more difficult to understand maybe for new viewers, because your plans are less straightforward. It's a lot more slow play. So Hikaru, what would you say is the plan that white should go for here?
Well, white's going to go knight h4, knight f5. If he can, black is going to play for pawn to c6 and then break the center with pawn to d5. Those are the plans for both sides, more or less. I really don't think there are any other plans for either side. So, okay, queen d7, actually not crazy about this move. Although maybe after knight to h4, black can play a tactic like bishop takes e4, potentially. And this might work, it might not work, but I think that's what he's angling for, if I had to guess.
That's a very quickly spotted, no surprise, by Hikaru Nakamura. The idea there is Hikaru's pointing out the bishop is spying the knight on h4, so at the end of some line like this, Hikaru's point is the knight would actually hang. So if Zalei has seen a tactic like that, Hikaru, then sign him up for the Chicago Open that will never return, right?
Right, although I like b4. b4 is a very nice move. Now, knight h4, you can now go knight h4. And I think this is very good for white. But it's very technical, and it's going to be very hard to play for both sides.
Hikaru, you are concerned at all by the c3 pawn that is now backwards as a result of b4, or you think it was potentially a necessary?
I mean, it shouldn't objectively matter at all, because there are plenty of lines in the Ruy Lopez where you play pawn to b4. But the follow-up with the bishop e3, I have a feeling that actually now white will get into trouble, because he's not proceeding with the knight h4, knight f5 idea. Black can probably go rook c8 and c6. If white played all the correct moves like knight h4, knight f5, I don't think it would matter. But due to the last couple of moves, I have a feeling that that black will be much better.
It was a good eye, Alexander, too, yeah, because if Zalei goes for the plan Hikaru's highlighting and does get c6, the opening of the pawns will eventually expose c3. But yeah, if he goes for it. But still, if Trump still finds knight h4, right? A4, interesting. Not a bad idea normally, right? I mean, it's kind of an idea you can play in the Lopez. But here I feel like black should get your move c6, Hikaru, and I'm liking Zalei's chances more now.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm very impressed by Trump SC, because what he's playing here, like playing b4, playing a4, it's not something that you can just solve if you haven't studied a good chunk of chess, because you have to understand the pawn structure and what you're playing for. And so he's clearly not a beginner by any stretch. He's played quite a bit of chess, and I'm just very impressed, because he is going up against someone who is probably a few hundred points higher rated than him, but he's got a very good position. This is very complicated. And this actually looks like a game that we would play. It really does.
Yep.
Okay, so he goes for c5 instead, which the evaluation bar just had a huge shift. Why do you think that is?
Well, because white doesn't have to play end peasant here. White can trade the pawns on b5 or just play like knight h4 or queen d2. And black doesn't break the center part of the board. The pawns remain stabilized on e4, e5, and d5, d6. So yeah, this was a very, very bad move objectively, but it looks very natural. And I understand why you would play it over playing c6, because when you play c6, you just destroy the white pawn structure. Whereas here, if you trade the pawns on b4, you have the open c file, but the rook is not really attacking anything.
Yeah. Maybe he's playing on the human emotion that people don't get to play en passant very often. So he's like, I'm going to play c5 because I know he's going to play en passant.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's more mentally straining to try and keep the tension. So whenever your opponent offers some kind of pawn exchange, either en passant or b takes c5, it's really tempting to reply directly, when sometimes the best move is to just hold the pressure for a little longer and just make a slight improvement.
Like Hikaru said, queen d2, a good move here. Just develop, defend the queen side, kind of have an eye on the king side. So we'll see if the OG has some patience here, or if he falls for one of these pawn captures that are looking more and more tempting. The Mighty Hutch took down Box, by the way. No surprise.
Right,
He was
up
a
queen, so it makes sense.
Fire Bat Chess took down Slicker. We're just kind of announcing these results for those of you that want to just keep an eye on the standings, but stick right here with us at Twitch Rivals. You can also look up the chess category right now, and everybody in this tournament is currently streaming their own point of view. So choose your own adventure if you'd like to go follow one of the streamers directly.
Move. Bishop D3, very nice.
That's like a grandmaster move, right? That's like a recognition of the fact that the bishop may no longer be on its optimal diagonal, everybody. He plays this move to not just put pressure on b5, but it can also, when it needs to, it could even head back here and keep an eye on this. I mean, this is a...
No, this is perfect play. Perfect play by Trump SC so far. Very, very impressive overall, I have to say. Because, like, Zalay, if you go and you look at his profile, you see that he was 2100. But, like, with Trump SC, you don't see, at least I didn't see anything specifically that said, like, he played a lot of chess as a kid or what his background is. So when you see someone who clearly isn't new, but then they're also playing really, really, really solid chess, it's very impressive.
And do you think there's any aspect of potentially Zalay not taking Trump SC as seriously because he didn't have some kind of background?
Maybe, but I mean, he would have to be at least like 1700 of a chance in the first place. So I don't know, and it's hard to tell. If Zalay really has not played chess since he was like in high school, which was probably 10 plus years ago, then he could be extremely rusty. And I do feel with a lot of these guys like Zalay or if you talk about like Zalay or Scar, even for that matter, people who played when they were younger, you feel like they just take a lot of time off and they come back to it, but they haven't actually played chess since they stopped. So there is a chance Zalay could be extremely rusty, and he's got a bad position here. This is actually not great.
Yeah, and the more you look at it, you realize that the knight, kind of a donkey over here, lacking access to anywhere useful. White is in ownership of the tension, everybody. That means White could take if he at some point wanted to, but it almost never favors Black to take and help the bishop capture, the A-pawn being weak. That's kind of a term we use in chess. White, A5 may not be necessary, but still, he just wants to point out that Zalay has a really kind of cramped position over here.
Whoa, and Zalay just puts his bishop back on e7. We noticed that he's getting 3 minutes on the clock, so a little under a minute difference between him and Trump. I guess he's starting to worry about the time pressure.
We have to highlight that despite the fact that Trump OG's position has been pretty good, he doesn't necessarily see himself as the better player because he's actually offered Zalay 2 draws in this game. The chess.com chat shows that Zalay declined both of them. May not have even seen the draw offers, we don't know, but that's pretty funny that because when you offer 1 draw, maybe you think he did it by accident, but 2 draws means he was really wanting a draw. So,
well,
funny. Fuseli does beat Cutie Cinderella, by the way.
Wasn't Fuseli down a piece?
Yeah, but looks like it ended up being a landslide, so that's an interesting one. All right, well, here goes F4. Now this one's about to start getting spicy.
Wait, what is this guy's rating? He had to have played actual tournaments. There's no way he hasn't played over the board. Literally no way.
Well, you see his rating already jumped up big time, right, from the first game.
No, but I mean, he must have played actual over the board.
Right.
There's no way he hasn't. And now he's actually much, much better here. Wow, holy. G4, H4, Knight F3. This is impressive. H4, G4, push everything back. Wow. Of course, as soon as I say that, he might just blunder. Oh, this I don't like. I don't like that at all.
So it might be intuitive for him to try to trade the bishop for a knight in a closed position, but at the same time, the bishop on the dark square actually was controlling a ton of squares, and that seemed very unnecessary.
Oh, you know what, Hikaru, he really does just want to draw.
Yeah, I know he wants to clog up the position and just make it draw. Yeah.
Well, now, it's funny because I didn't notice it when he first played A5, backing up to that position, but we didn't really like that. But then when I saw the 2 draw offers, and now looking at it, it just seems like Trump OG made up his mind. I just think I'm going up against a better player, and I'm going to try to draw this game.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I don't see any way that he's not going to draw this game because everything is so closed down here. Like, I just don't see it.
Well, I suppose this is a position where Trump has successfully built a wall of pawns, and it's just going to stay very closed.
All right. Well, we're going to move on anyway. We got many more games going on here in round 2 at the Twitch Rivals Chess Showdown here on July 10th. Thanks for being here. And we're going to move on to Charlie's game, Turbo Fisto, most critical. against Nim, a game that we talked about as one of the matchups we were super excited here in round 2, and it doesn't look like it's disappointing. They're pretty far along. We're not going to back up to the opening, but it's still very close to equal. So this should be an exciting finish as both players near time pressure.
Yeah, exactly. It's even material. Okay, D4 is probably a very strong move though.
What is Nim's king doing on C6? Are you concerned at all, Hikaru? Or
how did his king get to C6? Okay. Now I think this is bad. He had to play E4 and keep the files
position closed. Yeah.
King is very open. Bad stuff is going to happen here.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why. Why did we bring our king out to C6 if we're a Nim fan? And again, it's just never a good idea to have your king in the open, whether the center's open or even just whenever the queens are still on the board. It's just ill-advised. So if we backed up a few moves, looks like for some reason Nim didn't quite know what to do here, so he started voluntarily bringing that king out, which could end up could end up being the thing that causes him the game.
Although he might end up being able to just trade off the pieces, and then the fact that his king is more active is actually going to be an advantage in the end game. But the fact that he's playing a slow move like F5, I don't know what his plan is. He can't just keep pushing pawns because then he might actually get in trouble. Oh, never mind. They're going for the trade.
Okay, yeah, Rook D2 is not... I mean, Charlie could have pressed the position with Queen F4 more. He should have played Queen F4 instead to go Rook C4 or Queen takes H6, because that was one advantage. Now Nim is going to look like a genius because when queens come off the board here, his king is much closer to the center than the white king, so he's going to end up looking like a genius, even though he shouldn't be looking like a genius.
That's a great point, Hikaru, just highlighting the difference between you got a king that's active when the queens are on the board. It's not an active king. It's a target. We've got pins. We've got threats like this. The moment the queens come off the board, it goes from being a target to an active king, and but he kept his queen on the board. So he should have traded queens and then had a great king, as Hikaru was saying.
It's still okay. His king is still kind of safe due to the limited material, but I mean, yeah, I think it's actually completely fine somehow for Nim now because the king can just go back to B8 after the next check, and white can't really attack the king.
How did Charlie hold up in time pressure in the pogchamps, Alexandra? I don't remember, but I think he's getting a little nervous. That's why I'm asking. He's getting down to a minute. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I think that was something we saw pretty commonly with a lot of the participants. This is 1 minute territory, so we might end up seeing a blunder. Hikaru, do you remember any of his positions where he had a minute on the clock?
I mean, I felt like he got low on time against Ludwig in their final match, but that was the only one that I can think of where he got low. Now, A3 is a really nice move by Charlie, just to create a square for the king, so no back rank checkmates.
G3,
but in general, I don't think so. I can't recall him getting really low on time.
And he ended up winning the tiebreaker with Ludwig too, which was a blitz game with no increment. So it does show that he has some experience playing blitz. So he actually might be well positioned. Nim is the one who has the reputation of being slower.
Correct.
But I think Nim played Queen G6 with an eye on the discovered check, and I don't think Charlie saw it. And I don't know. It's not winning necessarily, but I think F4 check is a tricky move here that. Oh, nope, he didn't see it. Never mind. He puts the king on A6.
But why is he moving the king?
He's trying to think of the end game.
He's trying to play quickly, I think.
Yeah. Well, the kind of plan you should be looking for here, if you were, now you've got F4, and it could be enough to win the game, because with a discovered check. And then even if you traded queens, you would be able to push your F pawn and really create all kinds of problems for white. So we'll see if Nim sees F4 check the second time around here.
And in that variation, what's hard about it is that there's only one way for Charlie to come back and stop the pawn. Yeah.
Found it.
Whoa. Okay, now it's gonna get interesting.
Yeah, and we'll see if he does it again. If he can trade queens and then play F3, then suddenly Nim is in a great spot.
And Nim played, by the way, speaking of Nim, he played a fantastic rook and pawn endgame against Hutch in the first game of the semifinal.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So if he trades queens and goes F3, I think he's...
Oh no. He plays queen down. Now white can give check and the rook can come in. Uh-oh. Oh, we're seeing that eval bar drama. Just know that my heart's going up and down with it. This is
Oh
going to be
man.
tough. Okay, he finds queen d3. The problem is king a5 is mate, so you have to go back, and here comes rook e7.
Yeah, and now Charlie will see this for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, Charlie's too good to miss that. And that's game over.
Rook e7, the king moves, and the queen will enter. Okay, now it's mate in. Let's see, where's the fastest mate? Queen b5, and then queen
Queen
e5.
b5 and queen e5, and then you get the Nate Hill checkmate. This works
Yeah.
too. No, rook c4 is a great in between. I think white's still checkmating, but rook c4 is a fantastic move by him.
Yeah, it seems a bit like Charlie's just finding checks without necessarily calculating to mate and hoping.
King b4.
Yeah, you're chasing the king.
You're
You have
like
to be very
chasing the king
careful.
to where you're going to checkmate your own
Yeah.
king, kind of.
If he gives check, and now king takes a4.
Oh no!
I bet Charlie thought that was checkmate. I don't know why, and he's not on screen. I just have a feeling Charlie thought it was checkmate. Now it's trouble.
Well, Danny, that advice, always check, it might be mate. I guess it didn't work out here.
Well, there were
Now,
other checks too.
Maybe? As both players could get checkmated though.
Yep. There's
Also 6 seconds to 19 seconds.
4 seconds.
Players very, very low here.
Super unfair
and now
on the clock.
Black's going to get checkmated. Rook c5, only move. Only move is rook c5 to avoid checkmate.
The threat is b3 checkmate, everybody. Let's see if he sees
rook
it.
c5 blocks the queen from protecting
Nope,
the rook.
misses it. Oh, b3 checkmate, he missed it. Oh! He had b3. Now we're in a rook ending.
Oh, rook a4, rook a4. Oh.
If he trades rook, Nim looks like a genius with the active king.
Okay.
I think they're just trying not to flag at this point.
Yeah, you're right, Alexander.
And somewhat fairly so with so little time. Oof, there goes another pawn. Don't allow rook h3 because then black's just gonna have a passer.
h4. You see it? Rook h3. Rook h3. No.
By the way, guys, I think we chose the right game from the drama perspective, but Zalay came back and beat Trump OG in that game. Wow, crazy. Anyway,
oh wow.
Now Nim.
Nim knows how to checkmate. He's going to do the 3 queen special here. He already did it twice, I think, in pogchamps. He did it against Papa Plata and
there
against Slicker.
Is it his signature?
Yeah,
it's his signature. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Charlie says, "I'm not going to let you do that to me in front of 40,000 people." Thanks for being with us here on Twitch Rivals. We're going to head over to another one of the games, but that was drama right there. I mean, that was how often do you have a mate in one? I mean, Hikaru, what is Danya going to be talking to Charlie about there? That was b3, mate in one on the board.
Yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, Charlie had like 5 seconds at that point. I mean, it was such a chaotic finish there that I don't think you can really be critical of either player at that point, because both players just had no time and the position was not clear, so they were just trying to just make moves. So I just think you can't really be critical there. It's just tough situation.
Well, speaking of tough situations, I mean, what is happening to poor Slicker here?
Yeah, I brought that up. Our team is working hard to bring up the Slicker versus Fire Bat Chess game. Somehow there's a king on f2, and we're going to try to tell the story of how we got here. But this is weird. Let me just back. I got to see what happened here. We had a crazy French, just so I know. Knight goes to the edge. No good idea. Oh, f4 with the king in the center. Okay. Here we are.
Got a
Crazy
lot of
chess.
active kings today. That's all I'm gonna say from a few of the games we watched.
Yeah. Well, now what?
I mean, Slicker's a guy who I feel like he really needs to feel the energy and feel the flow of the game. So if he's not feeling it, then I think in general he just sort of drifts. From what I saw, like when I was watching him play in the semifinals, I think it was, or maybe it was quarters, whenever he played Charlie in the consolation bracket, he was feeling really positive about himself, and he was just like into it. And I felt that was one of the best performances he had, where he wasn't kind of unsure of himself. And I feel like now he's a little bit unsure of himself in a different kind of way. He doesn't quite have the opening set, and I think it's an uphill battle for him at this point.
Yeah, and we know he's a flair for the dramatic. So to come back and win this one, it would be a bit of drama. This is just such a tough position, everybody. White's king in the center. Even though there's no concrete knockout blow right now, there's all kinds of problems for White. B5's a
By
good
the
move.
way, I was gonna add Firebat is the he was the Hearthstone world champion, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's interesting to me how many Hearthstone players seem to be into chess. I know, like, obviously you have Firebat, you have who's the other one in this? Zalae, obviously.
Mhm.
But then also like Forsen, I know he played a lot of Hearthstone. Of course, Reckful, who passed on, he also played a lot of Hearthstone as well. So it's interesting to me that there are a lot of Hearthstone streamers or people who played Hearthstone who also really like chess.
Yep.
Which is quite
and some chess players who like Hearthstone, right? Grandmaster Peter Svidler, a peer of yours, right? People tuning in may not be that aware of it, but Peter Svidler is a top world elite chess player who's very into Hearthstone.
Yes, exactly.
Hikaru, Danny, have you two ever played Hearthstone?
I know how to play, but I've never played it. No.
Yep, and I've watched my kids play, so that counts.
Well, coming back to this position, Slicker has some chances to come back. I mean, if you look at the material count, he's only down 2 pawns. Of course, the problem isn't the material, but rather the fact that his king is in such a vulnerable position. But if Firebat doesn't play accurately, there are some chances he, pseudo cat. Oh, okay, maybe not.
Slicker's doing a king walk here.
Yeah.
Maybe not if he takes with the king.
Oh, by the way, apparently Nim also comes from Hearthstone. I didn't know that. Apparently he played Hearthstone too.
Okay, Queen E3, and probably you need to back up and keep yourself safe. Don't go for the full king walk here. Okay, at least Slicker changed his mind. I was actually going to say, as crazy as King takes up 3, look, I kind of applauded it because I was like, well, at this point he was already in big trouble, and maybe he didn't see mate, and he was like, well, I might as well take the pawn. Of course, he should have taken with the queen, but at the very least, the king is finding a little bit of safety here, and Firebat has to prove it now. You got to do your work. You got to bring your rooks in. You got to do some things against the king.
Right. This is true. Yeah, I think this is a great position for Firebat, but he needs to use his tanks here. Bring the rooks in and attack.
Yeah.
And I see that chat is very distressed that we didn't also mention Trump SC, who also has a Hearthstone background, and I think he plays a lot with Firebat as well.
Wait, didn't I say Trump SC was the world champion?
No, you said Firebat chess.
Champion. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm confusing them all. Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry.
But no, you're right. And apparently today we got a lot of crossover. To shout out if you're a Hearthstone fan and you're here watching it, Twitch Rivals. So thanks for bringing us that info. All right, he does bring the rook over, which I like. This is a very common idea. It's called a rook lift. You bring your rook in front of the pawns, and if Firebat follows through with this plan, that might be all that he needs to do.
Yeah, I think it's another great game from him. Rook E8 do the rook lift. Just fantastic chess.
Yep. He had the mate in the first game. If you're just tuning in, an incredible discovered checkmate in round 1, and so this would be another great game if he does the job. Whose team is Firebat on again? And I apologize.
That's what I was just asking. He's on Trump SC.
Trump SC's team. Okay, we look at the standings here. This could be a huge one, right? We're deadlocked 2-2 right now between Trump SC and Nim's team. So.
Yeah, and just a refresher, so on Trump SC, we have, obviously, Trump SC since he's the captain, Moist Critical, Papa Plata, and Firebat. And then on Hutch, we have Cutie Cinderella, Ludwig, and Nate Hill. So it seems like Trump SC has been one of the most consistent so far, although we haven't watched Papa Plata's games just yet.
Yeah, we haven't. We haven't seen him, but remember, there's a lot of games going, so you can watch. Oh, yep.
Oof.
Sorry.
Yeah, kind of nasty.
An old chest injury coming back to bite me on that one. An old chest injury. I've fallen for this one before too.
Brutal.
There's multiple ways to mate, everybody. You can choose your flavor on G1. And he likes the rook flavor.
Finding a lot of checkmates today. He's been playing very well.
Indeed. How often do you get to checkmate people twice in a day? I mean, not asking you, Hikaru, that happens. How often do you checkmate someone every day? Like, what would you say the average is that you checkmate?
It's probably like 4 times maybe.
Because people resign.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. People just resign. Yeah.
Alexander, how many times do you checkmate a day?
People respect me a little less than Hikaru, and I play a lot of bullet where people often don't resign and they fall for like accidental checkmates. So in a bullet run, probably similar.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of games still going. Not everyone ends in checkmate, but seriously, Firebat Chess has played some hot fire chess today. We're gonna go check out Zena's game with Levzina taking on Nate Hill, and they're transitioning from what looked like a pretty solid opening for Zena, right? Optically you see big center, you like the development, and Black has just played the move G5, but that may just be met by bishop takes, and White is on the hunt. Nope, never mind. She doesn't take it.
Right, but even if you take, the king moves over, so it's not so clear. But
Okay,
yeah, Nate has been amazingly impressive. Yeah, it's just his play has been phenomenal for someone who hasn't really played chess as far as I understand it.
You said, along with Leslie, you felt like he was one of the players in the chess.com pogchamps who exhibited some of the most natural talent, right?
Yeah, he and Fuseli were definitely my two favorites. Because their ability to problem solve and understand seemed really, really good, and I definitely like both of them in the way they played.
And here Nate is already up a piece for a pawn. We just saw that fork, but his king is in a little bit of danger. So one thing that might help him out is if he moves the knight from f6 and all of a sudden is able to trade off queens.
Whoa.
Otherwise,
Rook h8 allows g5, I think is, or e5 actually. Both of them. Here's the thing: we've got a date on f7 between the rook and the bishop, and that could be a huge problem. Oh no.
well,
Zena takes it.
That wasn't the move we were expecting here.
I think in the early stages of just kind of getting yourself familiar with the patterns of chess, you don't always recognize how quickly your pieces are working together when they're not physically close to each other. So this is a good note for viewers that, looking at that, remembering the rook and bishop as far as how well they coordinate. E5 and G5, I think both would have been really strong ways to try to kick the pony so that you could do something nasty on F7. But she doesn't see that, and now Nate is back in control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He's up a rook here, so yeah, he should be winning, especially because queens are probably gonna be traded here.
Yeah, but Akara, you're right about Nate Hill's instincts. I forget the word you just said, like his instincts to, maybe it was react or just recognize when there was an opportunity. And I remember a game that he beat Rob where you prepped him as Black, and I remember he had an E5 fork of the minors, and here he has the G5 fork of the queen and bishop, right? I feel like as far as like the pawn structure pattern recognition, he found that opportunity, and even though maybe it wasn't, a perfect science, maybe White had better, but still a good opportunity that he didn't miss, right?
And
right, true.
Actually a very important victory for Team Hutch if Nate Hill ends up winning, because currently the score is 3-4 in round two. So if Nate wins this, it's going to tie it up so far.
Okay, there you go. Yep, spying that right now. So this is a huge matchup for Team Hutch. They need the victory to tie this one. Otherwise, they would have lost both their first matches of the day. If you're just tuning in, they lost in round one, as you can see, to Team Nim. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, how do you convert on this one if you're coach, Hikaru? What is your advice when you're obviously up material, but it's also kind of a mess, right? Are there sometimes where you're like, hey, trading pieces is good when you're winning, but sometimes you go after the king. Here maybe too much.
Right, yeah, I think in general you just try to trade down again, trade off as much as you can since you're ahead by one rook, but it is a complicated position, so it's not so easy.
Yeah. Well, if Zena sees it, she can take the knight. What do you think, Alexandra? Betting, you got to say quickly. Does she take it or play king d2?
I think she's going to king. Yeah, I was going to say she's going to move the king just because.
Yeah.
I think Zena might be the least experienced person who we've seen so far in Twitch Rivals, and she's still kind of at the point where you see a threat and she saw, a check as a threat, and you just respond directly to it without considering other variations. And I'm, again, pointing out that this is something that comes with experience, and that's why.
Right. Mm-hmm. What do you think that is, in the early stages of learning the game? Often when there's a check, people think in the opposite order that we think as professionals. When you think of getting checked, you think, can I take the checked piece? Can I block the checked piece? Only last you move the king. And a lot of times in the early stages, if someone gets checked, they sort of immediately assume they have to move the king, right? That's part of learning the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the general awareness. When you're new to the game, you're still like trying to understand. Basically, even here, you see like Nate like the knight is hanging on b3 now, but you see the general awareness, like I feel like players when they're beginning, they can kind of tunnel on certain pieces or certain parts of the board, and the overall awareness, it's very hard to it's very hard kind of to view the whole picture.
Right.
So I think when you're just starting out, mainly it's just look at all the possible moves that you can play. Like I've noticed XQC, he always he clicks on all the pieces to try and see where you can move them. I think that's one of the best things you can do, is just try to see all the possible moves. When you're so new to the game.
That's a great piece of advice there. You can also have the setting turned on if you happen to play on chess.com, by the way. That's exactly what Hikaru was referring to, that if you click on a piece, it shows you all the legal moves for the piece. So when you're learning, there's no shame, and you should be doing that. It helps you, like Hikaru said, to do that candidate move process, which is, you got to consider multiple options to find the best one. So, yeah. All righty. Well, Zena's in trouble here.
E-Rob just won against somebody, by the way, apparently.
And I literally just followed him because I realized him and Papa Platt were the two that I didn't have their follow name up, and that's why I wasn't seeing that game, darn it. But E-Rob just beat Papa Platt.
Wow. That's a very impressive result.
Yeah. He did so in style, too.
Well,
can we see the game or not?
We've got this one here, and we've got the graphic pulled up, but I'll just quickly flash the position just so people can see. It's
wow, a brutal two queens in a row.
Yeah, two queens in a three, and we'll go back. But yeah, there you go. That was crazy.
And
and remember, Papa Plata made he did make the champions bracket, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very impressive for E-Rob.
Yeah, especially since E-Rob was more towards the bottom half of the consolation bracket. So to beat somebody who is in the championship bracket just shows that he has been improving a lot. And I think one of E-Rob's biggest weaknesses has been that he often has the occasional blunder. And if he doesn't blunder, he actually plays pretty solid chess.
By the way, we're going to get the same mating pattern again from Nate.
Nate Hill. Nate Hill is
there you go.
So funny, actually.
That's pretty funny, actually.
We got to rename it.
Pattern.
We got to rename it. The Nate Hill. The Nate Hill. Next time I'm commentating on Hikaru Nakamura playing in the Speed Chess Championship, for those who don't follow, when he mates that way, I'll call it the Nate Hill. Look at that.
Okay, he did that, but okay. It's
using all your pieces, the kind of chess that we want everyone to play. And there you go. We're probably going to head right back to the game that brought us to a close in the first set of games here in round two, which was Charlie's battle versus Nim, Turbo Fisto, as he's known on chess.com, most critical. I think that's the main one to head back to. I'll pull up some of the others that I think might still be going, but let's head back over to Nim and Charlie and see, again, a very equal position. Last game, it was almost totally equal, and then it was that king walk that should have got Nim mated. He didn't. He ended up winning, but here again, we have an equal game, Hikaru.
Another game that I think is going to go right down to the wire. Objectively, it's winning for Objectively, I think it's winning for white, but the king is going to be very open in a move or two after rook takes pawn, rook takes queen, takes bishop f3. There are going to be mistakes here. Although, again, Charlie is way down on the clock. So it's very hard to tell what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the clock is going to be the biggest indicator in the game here, because it seems like after the trades, Nim is going to end up being up a pawn, which is great. But what's going to matter more is how we saw Charlie play in the last game, where at some point he's going to get under 20 seconds, and then it's so hard to not blunder.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, the time pressure was really what won/lost the game for these guys in the first set of games here.
Although apparently Charlie was preoccupied, so that's why he didn't have much time. So that's why he lost the first game.
His dog came in the room, right?
Apparently his dog did more than that.
Oh no!
That's what chat said. I don't know if chat's baiting, but I heard chat said these rumors happened.
Yeah,
but I would trust chat. Classic. All right, well, here he's still down on the clock, whether the dog is involved in that process or not. And he's got something to prove. He lost to Nim, and now what's he gonna do? You can play Queen H5, which is a double attack, but Nim's king might find new safety on E2, and then he could maybe try to push one of these past pawns, like the D pawn.
Yeah, I mean, when Charlie missed that pawn on F3, now White's king becomes extremely safe behind the pawn wall. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say that Nim is in very good shape here as long as he keeps his nerve. If he puts the king on e2 behind like this huge triangle, he's in very good shape. But it's not going to be easy. I think there's still going to be blunders from both players.
Yeah. Yeah, the time pressure will likely ensure that to be so. Maybe Nim decides to go after the a-pawn. You could move the queen to attack the rook, attack the a-pawn. Or maybe he's just panicked right now about the h3 pawn hanging with check.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing here is that Nim really has to decide, does he want to put the king in the center or put the king on g2?
Mm-hmm.
And he seems like he's trying to hang on to his pawn. So he played queen d7, protecting h3. He can try queen g4 here and just go for simplifying and trading off. Because if the queens are off the board and he's 2 pawns up, that way his king is in a less dangerous position. Of course, Charlie should retreat the queen and try to keep the pressure on. Good
call, Alexander. Yeah, offering the... Oh, unfortunately. Good call for Nim. But like you said, Charlie should have kept the queens on the board. Now this gets much easier.
Now it's just too many pawns.
Yep.
It's two.
Push them, baby.
Right? 2 pawns
C4,
and you have,
C5.
like, you have 4 connected in the center.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a 4-minute advantage.
Right.
Man, we're just piling on Charlie here. This is
that's it.
It's and the 4 pawns, and they're passed, and he's up 4 minutes on the clock. So yeah.
But there's no dog distraction, so there's the positive.
Well, one of the things that happens, as we said in the format, for those of you that have been with us from the very beginning today on Twitch Rivals Chess Showdown, thank you. Thanks for being here all day. But also we mentioned what happens if the matches are tied. Well, guess what? We just had a 4-4 tie between Team Hutch and Team Boxbox. So guess who's about to throw down in a blitz tie break? Sudden death dodgeball.
Right?
Hutch and Boxbox, baby.
Wow.
I love it.
That's going to be fun. This is a
So what is the format again?
Well, we're gonna head over to that game here as soon as the production crew gives me the go ahead. Indeed, they have, and I'm over there. So it's a 3-minute plus 2-second increment. The tiebreaker in the group stage here, Hikaru, is just a single game. It's just board 1 versus board 1. So this is it. This is for deciding who's going to win between Team Hutch and Team Boxbox. So awesome. There's only one thing more exciting than sudden death dodgeball, and that's tiebreaker chess.
Can we get a dad joke counter in the chat? Just every time Danny talks.
Sudden death dodgeball. Anyway, all right, h6. So, by the way, look at Hutch. He learned from you, Hikaru, in the first game. I think you were right, Hikaru. I think it was a mouse slip. Because, look, he doesn't play it the second time.
I've seen Hutch play too many games where he's played so classically that, like, I feel like it was not a move that he could ever play in a million years. So that's just my personal take, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. But I think it was a mouse slip.
Yeah. Well, we've got a queen's pawn game here. That's the d4 game Hutch likes. Alexander, here we see bishop takes c3. Queen or pawn? You got to bet. Queen or pawn? Go.
Oh,
Queen for sure.
We were both wrong, Hikaru.
Wow.
I feel better being wrong when Hikaru was also wrong. So
yeah, but this is why I'm saying, like, a move like c5, he could never play it, because look at how classical this is. Like, taking with the pawn, he's going to trade, he's going to go c4. Like, this is very, very classical. That's why, to me, it was impossible to see him playing that c5 move, because it's just so classical. It's just like
I agree. And for those who don't know a lot about Hutch, he's one of the main reasons he stays around this 1500 level is he's always struggled a little bit in time pressure, but he has enough experience. I agree with you, Hikaru. Like, he understands pawn structures. He knows his opening.
Charlie is winning somehow, I'm hearing.
What?
Charlie came back and won. OMGs or snaps. Wow.
So it's going to be 4-4, and we'll have a tiebreaker there too, apparently.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Sudden death dodgeball. I don't know why. Anyway, we're going to have tiebreakers all day, baby. This is exciting.
Are you going to name the 5 Ds while you're at it too, Dan?
The 5 Ds of dodgeball: dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Somehow I remembered that. It's like you hit me upside with a wrench, pun intended. Anyway, we're having fun here today. Bishop g4, get the trade. You got to take e2 first. Knight d7? Does he have it? No. Okay.
Does he have knight g6? I think knight g6 was probably winning for white, but very Now, was queen e5 queen e5 is just queen takes knight, sorry. This game's very close. Very, very close.
And I like the idea that Hutch can try to do to bring his queen to d4 and fix his pawn structure at some point, and otherwise he could just activate the rook on f1, bring it to d1, and put pressure on d5 as well. So very classical ideas here.
Yeah, good call.
But this is still. What are the odds you guys think it's a draw? Maybe Hikaru first, then Danny.
I think 20%.
Just because it's.
Yeah, I'll say.
I think it's like 0% after the trade. By the way. 0%.
I think 8, yeah, even 15%. Like, I think even though it could be a draw at high levels of a rook ending, but black is really in good shape here with the 2-on-1 and that rook owning the file. So,
yeah, I think the imbalance of where the pawns are makes a draw extremely unlikely.
yeah.
Well,
But maybe you'll be right, Alexander. What do you think?
I mean, you're right. I don't think a draw is very likely, and Boxbox still the underdog here. But he does have the better position. It's just one of those end games where if you didn't study, it's hard to figure out how to push it. But I think more likely they're going to get in time pressure. We're going to see some inaccuracies. Not a blunder at their level, but some inaccuracies, and someone's going to hang a pawn. Oh my God, Moist critical one.
Yeah, we don't even know how that happened. We might have to back up and see what the blunder was by Nim, but I mean, that is a shocking result there, which means, as you said, we have another tiebreaker. Both matches here in round 2 end in a 4-4 tie. Trump, SC, and Nim, which means we're going to have Zalay.
Oh, wow. Boxbox found Rook A6 and B4, which is...
Yeah, that's an idea.
Rook C6 is winning for black here, I think, but it's very hard to play.
But this, you're right. It's a great idea either way. Rook A2 is a good move. He's playing well.
Wow.
Looking more drawish again now, but I don't know. I don't know. Very tough position. By the way, to be fair, like if you think about the other game, Charlie really should have won that first game against Nim. So I guess the luck kind of evened out.
No, good call. The poetic justice. Somehow, neither player won the game they were supposed to win, but Hutch and Nim, not Hutch, excuse me, Charlie and Nim split, which means we're gonna have another tiebreaker. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's gonna be Zalay and Trump SC. That's a blitz game.
Which, by the way, apparently the reason that Trump won one of those games was, or Zalay did, is because Trump he pre-moved a knight move and it hung a knight apparently.
Oh wow. Crazy action today. Now we're getting closer to a draw. So you asked the question, Alexander. Maybe you were the seer.
We'll see if Hutch lets his king escape to
now
G5.
This is the classic end game. Rook end game with both sides having opposite pawns. They're going to be connected pawns going up the board for both sides, I think.
Ooh, I would have liked H5 a lot better for Boxbox. Now
you gotta play G4. No. Missed the intermezzo, and Hutch saw it.
There's that pawn blunder I predicted.
It's still a draw.
Get on the prophecy stuff.
Oh yeah, even with the two.
No, it's not. I'm trolling you. It's not.
Oh, okay. I was like, Hikaru, I believe everything you say. Don't trick me.
Yeah, I feel like Hikaru could tell you this is silly. Like,
I feel like he's just poking at me like Big Brother at chess. Like, no, Danny is still a draw. Of course, it's still not a draw. All right, just push the D pawn. Push him. There you go.
He'll push the pawn.
Rook D4. We'll see if Hutch finds it.
Rook H1? Okay, he sees Rook H1. It's one move too late, though. Okay, but Rook D1. H4, H3. Yeah, H4. Push, push, push.
He's going for it.
If White can find Rook D4, White's still winning.
Rook D4 wins by one tempo because you queen the pawn with the check, yes.
I'm going to be very impressed with Hutch if he plays it.
Uh-oh, he doesn't, and now we're back.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a draw now. I'm predicting it'll be a draw because I think Hutch is going to have to sack the rook for the H pawn.
Right.
King F3. No, King F3, Rook H2.
Why is he playing Rook E2?
He had Rook F4 check and Rook D4 again, but if he didn't see D4 the first time, then...
Yeah, I think this is going to be a draw because what's going to happen is he's going to have to sack the rook for the H pawn, and the black king is going to come back and eat the E pawn, and you sack the rook for the D pawn.
So, Danny, what happens if it's another draw? Does it go to their accuracy?
I actually don't know. I think
they keep playing.
Yeah, I think they just color reverse, and we throw down all night. Is what happens, I guess.
Danny, I feel like you haven't had a lot of social activities during COVID, but it's okay. Probably none of us have. You're just so excited. I love the enthusiasm. Oh
man, I don't have as many social activities as probably a lot of other people do in general. But yeah, I am pretty excited here. This is going to be Well, this is why eventually a lot of times chess formats will sometimes go to an Armageddon game, which for those who don't follow chess closely, because chess has the unique option of a draw, which not every other sport or game has. There's no real way to ever have sudden death unless you create a unique format. And so what they use is Armageddon. We'll get into that maybe some other day. But all right, this would be funny if this draws, and I think Hikaru called it.
It will be a draw. King G3.
King G3, E4.
Box 15 seconds on the clock, by the way. So impressive that he's finding this.
Very nice. Very nice. Takes. And King out.
Okay, there it is.
There you go. Well, so what do we do now, Team Twitch Rivals Production Studio behind the scenes, letting us know things in our ear? They're going to swap colors and keep playing, but we also have another tiebreaker coming up, which will, of course, be Trump SC taking on Zalay. So this is super exciting. I'm checking in with the team if we're just continuing to roll through the tiebreaker, and we go again. I think so. Yeah, no breaks, no rest for the weary. They're gonna play again, and wow. What do you think? Does it speak to the level of missed opportunities, or to the level of these guys being pretty closely matched, Hikaru, that they drew that game? You know, they both kind of handled each other's wonders there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I think one of the things you always want to see, both with Twitch Rivals and PogChamps, is you don't want to see people getting blown out of the water. And in PogChamps, when you got into the bracket stage, there were so many of the final matches, both Constellation and Champions, that went to a tiebreaker. And so to see the tiebreakers happening now in these matches as well is really great to see.
Yeah.
And also, as a side note, it's really great to see that in Trump SC, you have someone who can stand up to the real bully of this event, Zalay, and actually be competitive. So it's really great to see the competitive nature and the evenly balanced matches.
Well, we've got Trump OG, his username, Trump SC. They'll be playing again here very soon. I don't think they've played their tiebreaker game yet. No, they haven't, because apparently Trump SC went offline to take a break because he didn't know he was going to be needing to play a tiebreaker. So we're working on that behind the scenes, everybody. This is a lot of fun. So here we go. Second Blitz game. What do we got, Alexandra? We got a close Sicilian.
Okay, so Box, interesting opening choice against the Sicilian. It seems like he must have prepared this. We know from his opening choices, white and black and PogChamps, that he really likes fianchettoing his bishop on G2. So he gets another one of those positions. But this is a very level, solid position where neither side has too many weaknesses. So I'm curious to see if we're going to maybe get another draw. Of course, it's too
I like Queen C7. He's saying I want to use the rook on D8 and put a pony on D4. I think Hutch, again, he didn't convert on the last game, but he's got a lot of experience. I feel like he knows what he's doing here. But okay, but here comes Box with the storm.
I feel like he's getting a little eager here. It didn't seem necessary for him to push like this, and now he's actually creating more weaknesses for his king side. I don't know, maybe Hikaru, what do you think?
Yeah, I would have preferred if he took with the e-pawn, because now I think actually black is probably better since your white's king is more open than black's king. But it's a tough position. I think it could go either way. I'm amazed at how fast Hutch is moving, though. He's moving really fast. I think I think that loss to Voy in that tiebreaker. I think it bothered him, and he's making an active effort to move quicker.
Yeah. That was a great call, Car, and I've talked with Sean since then, and he loved the event, the PogChamps, and he made it really far. But he knows one of his biggest issues is that it has been his time management, because he's probably the only reason he's not rated like maybe 1650, 1700 area is because he historically hasn't really liked Blitz. He's only played like 10 and 15-minute games. So I think he's pushing himself to speed up.
Yeah, it makes sense. And like I said, from what I've seen of his games, very classical approach. So it makes sense that he likes slower games as well.
And
well, go ahead.
This position is getting pretty tricky. So Box just developed his bishop with tempo, but now he has to be careful about b2. Maybe he's going to have bishop d6 in the future to also grab a pawn on his own. And now that he's eliminating some of the pieces from the black king side, maybe he will have some attacking chances in the future.
Yeah, the f pawn is always right. Freddy can get freaky over here on the f file. You got to watch out for things like bishop g5 and f6. You could even play f6 now if you wanted to, and then bishop d6. So,
Danny, isn't Friday at Freddy's like the name of a game?
Friday at Freddy's
on Twitch? I think there's some games like Friday.
My intelligence level just starts saying every F word I can think of that's PG. So that was it. I just said Freddie gets freaky on the friggin' F file.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, look, Freddie is getting freaky. Here we go, F6, and if you take it, everybody.
5 Nights at Freddy's. That's the game. I knew there was some game. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
And I'm curious what you guys think based on having seen both players play the 10-minute format. Who do you think is better at blitz than they are in longer time controls?
Skara for sure. He's the only one I've seen where he is clearly better at blitz than he is at the 10-minute games. Okay. Only one I've seen so far though, where I would say that they're better, and they're not significantly worse. Like most of them, I think are significantly worse at blitz than they are at like the 10-minute game. So I think Skara is the only one I've seen who I would say is clearly better at blitz. What
about between Box and Hutch? Do you think their skills translate relatively evenly?
I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like Hutch with his concerted effort here to stay up on the clock, should be the stronger player. He's also higher rated. I mean, I expect that, but because it's blitz and tiebreakers, sudden death dodgeball, anything can happen. I like Hutch, though. I think he can trade queens, and he's still better here. He could pick up the h3 pawn. Nope, he doesn't want it.
Okay.
Very tough position. I don't know who's better. There's going to be a blunder because both kings are so open that someone's going to blunder.
Right. And I mean, Box has quite a few ideas. He does definitely want to keep attacking. Queen b3 I like. He's threatening queen g3. The knight can just retreat back to g6 after. But then maybe, h4, h5, or moving his king over to h1 and bringing the rook in. Still,
White is winning with correct play here. After knight g6, rook f1, there's h4, h5. You can play knight f4. And White is definitely winning. But it's very hard. Very, very. Oh, knight f4. Wow.
He's knight f4 right away. It's well.
I mean, black might have to try to play queen d2 and try to get some counterplay. Queen d2 maybe threatens queen d4. Okay, he finds it, but Box can take on e6.
Yeah, tricky position.
Ooh, takes on g6. Whoa, that hangs. Oh, he missed the bishop. He missed the bishop. Oh man. Box took the rook, everybody. The bishop was hanging. Hutch took back with the wrong pawn. Should have taken with this one.
Again, Box 20 seconds on the clock, so we can understand why he missed that.
I didn't even realize that. You're right. Yeah, they're already under time pressure.
Yeah. Or Boxes. Hutch is still a little more comfortable with his 120.
We're going to keep it locked here because this game is further along, everybody. But Trump, SC, and Zalay, again, Hikaru, looks like they're playing a game between two grandmasters over there. They're just there in it looks like a very strategically sound position for both. So we're going to get to see the end of both tiebreaker games. Don't worry. Let's see how this one finishes, and then we will jump.
We take c5. I hope the arcade animations don't come back to haunt Box in this game, by the way, because I know he has arcade animations.
That's right.
That does make it slower.
First of all, that makes his stream super entertaining. I love watching the arcade animation. I forgot that we had that.
Right, but you lose time.
The
reaction time is slower.
Yeah. By the way, if we get another draw here and we just keep playing colors again, this is we might have to revisit the format there.
I could see it happening. I mean, I totally could see it happening if he finds queen f2. Okay.
Bishop takes h3, maybe. Oh, he sees it. Oh, he did.
Yeah, and now I think because there aren't enough checks, right?
You can hide on h6. Oh, Hutch finds it.
e3, queen e3, throw in the queen e3 check. Okay, but now black can just trade.
Yeah, he's trading. Then he's going to be up a pawn. Yeah.
But don't go queen g4 because queen e3 check wins the bishop.
Aha. Very nice.
And do you think that Hutch?
Queen e3.
Hikaru, how do you do that? Oh my God, you predicted it, but he didn't see it.
But why is Hutch is not trading queens? So now this is going to be very strange. Okay.
And Box wants to trade queens. The opposite side that
Hutch doesn't want to trade queens. Yeah,
Hutch doesn't realize he's winning in the king and pawn ending. If he trades queens, he's winning, but he doesn't realize it.
Oh, this is. Oh, okay. Queen f8 now. Okay.
Now he's going to
probably a draw with correct
with
play,
checks.
But you just have to know to check on the dark squares. But it's too hard here. Queen d4. Okay, but now you just lose. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, Hutch should convert this one, which means we're going to hop over to Trump SC's game with Soleil. So not going to be – we're going to go very, very quickly over to that one here in just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Hutch goes on to win. We flip the script and head over to the other tiebreaker, Trump SC.
Is winning. He's winning against the Lays. C7.
What? No more mouse slips from him, and he's just up a full queen. Holy smokes.
Yep, he's going to win.
Wow.
Bishop G5.
Wow.
Look how fast he finds it,
Wait,
too.
so what is Trump SC's rating?
He?
Wait a second. What is his rating?
He's clearly much better than
Yeah, I mean, this is like no joke.
By the way, I thought for sure Hutch's game would be over first, but it looks like they're racing to mate. Hutch is about to mate. Who will mate first? Trump SC? Oh, Hutch mated him just in time. Oh, classic. Okay, so Hutch mates, Trump SC mates, and their respective teams take the first tiebreaker that we've had of the day here in round 2.
So someone in chat says he's 1,200. That is like, there's no way that he's 1,200. That's like, he's got to be like 1,600 for sure. Like, there's no way that he's 1,200. Like, that's insane.
I think hopefully we'll be able to ask him and find out. Somebody in chat, go ask him what his rating is and report back to us, please.
There's no way, especially because it wasn't even Hikaru. It wasn't even just that he won, but it was the speed with which he just like ruthlessly won that game. That's like the kind of thing that like you don't do unless you're a good chess player. Okay, apparently
he is like 1,600 apparently.
Okay, that makes us feel better.
That makes sense because he's playing really, really well. Like this is like yeah. And I wonder if he's better at blitz. He might be one of those guys where he's better at blitz than he is at like 10 minutes. Like I totally could see it.
Right, yeah. Because we didn't see him in PogChamps, so we didn't have any way to tell, whereas we did with some of the other players.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it makes us feel better to know his rating, just like Capital One makes people feel better by protecting their coin. What's in your wallet? Let's remind you, we're going to give a big shout out to Capital One, the official bank and credit card of Twitch Rivals, and they look out for you. Eno is a Capital One assistant that looks out for charges that you may not have expected. They are protecting your coin. And there you go. I already said it. The famous tagline, you know it, Capital One. What's in your wallet, chat? If not Capital One, I don't know what is. But I know that you can't really fit a Mountain Dew in your wallet, so I'm not going to ask that. Hikaru, I know you want one of these, but you can't have it because it's here.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew Game Fuel includes ingredients to improve accuracy and alertness, good for brain games that you do online, especially right now in the times that we're in. A lot of people playing chess online, and we got more coming up. So don't go anywhere when we return. Twitch Rivals, the chess showdown continues here, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes.